You are listening to the Estheticians or More podcast with Brittany Hageman, episode number 224. Happy Monday and welcome back. It's actually not Monday, it's Tuesday when this is going live. Sorry. I'm so excited to be back with you today and talk about something that I think can be confusing sometimes in our brains, and something that I know I have to really think about when I'm experiencing, and I've coached a lot of clients on, and that is rest versus procrastination and how to know the difference between the two. And this, I feel like most people struggle with one or the other. So most people either struggle to rest or they struggle with procrastination, waiting to the last second to get things done. And also, there can be some tasks you procrastinate versus others, and some tasks that you cannot rest on in others. I want to also talk about why rest is important and what procrastination is telling you. Okay, so rest versus procrastination. Rest is getting the things done that you told yourself you were going to get done that day, that week, and telling yourself, great job, and you are going to turn off, essentially. You're going to not be responding to any more messages on your phone. You're not going to be checking your Instagram or your TikTok. You're not going to be in your business head. If business ideas come, you write them down on your notes app in your phone, and then you just go back doing whatever you were doing, whether that's playing a game on your phone or making food or hanging out with a loved one or whatever it is. Procrastination is completely avoiding the task and having lots of excuses why you cannot do the task. And there are certain things in my business that I procrastinate. And there are certain things in my business it's hard for me to rest and to turn my brain off. Less now than before. But when I first was a business owner, my brain was always going and it was very hard for me to rest. And I have clients that kind of hire me for one or the other sometimes. We're like, I cannot rest. I'm always thinking about my business. I feel like I'm always working. And then people who say the same things, but it's actually procrastination that they're having problems with. It's not rest. So first I want to say why rest is hard. If you're like one of my clients that is an achiever, and I would describe myself as achiever, and the way that I would describe my achieving clients and myself is that you like to accomplish things, you like to get things done, you like to check off a list, you like to see the results of what you do, and you are willing to keep trying until you get the result you want. Procrastinator is you want to close your eyes and it just be done for you. And I'm laughing because this is me on certain things in my business. Like whenever it comes to paying sales tax, not like tax at the end of the year, but like tax on products I sell, I always have so much drama in my brain. I've actually been paying someone for the last couple of years to file it for me, but I'm not selling enough product to justify that cost anymore. And so I'm actually going to change that this month. I'm not going to I'm going to take that off of the service that she provides for me. Even that, I'm like, oh God. I will clean my bathroom. I will do anything. And I just would love to close my eyes and have it done. And sometimes if there are certain tasks like that, yes, you can hire people to do. Like I said, I did, but then you also have to look at is it making sense from a business perspective? And it was for a very long time making sense. It wasn't a good use of my time to go in and deal with the forms and figure out the money. And it took a lot of energy for me because I hated it so much, but I can do it. And I just have to create a routine around it and a system. So that's procrastination. Rest is kind of like feeling like if you're not constantly doing something in your business, it's not going to succeed. Like the success is because of how hard you work, which is true. Make no mistake, listener, if you did not work your tushy off, talking about your business, doing all the things you did to grow your business to where it is today, it would not be where it is today. It doesn't just fall into your lap. So there is truth to that, right? And in order to have this sustainability to keep going and growing your business and making more money and not getting burned out and to have ideas, you have to rest. Some of my best ideas for my business come from when I'm totally resting, whether that's like taking a shower or laying in my bed before I fall asleep or just driving the car and listening to music or whatever. Like sometimes I get the best ideas, kind of just not thinking when I'm not in my business head. But my achievers, always thinking about your business and trying to always do something in your business fulfills a need for you. And it makes you feel in control. And I do want to separate the idea that you can be in control of your business and not be thinking about it all the time. And if you have a hard time resting, it is super, super important. This is why I have my clients do it. And a lot of them don't like it, especially the achievers. But I have a daily journal and I'm like, just do 3 of these tasks a day. And they're like, no, I want to do all 10 or all 15. Like, yes, I know that feels like the best way to do it. And you can do all 15 every day. If you do your 3, you can say you're done. Because when it comes to growing business sustainably and continuing to grow and make more money outside the treatment room, you have to be able to maintain the pace. Because there are days and weeks and months you don't feel like it. You aren't getting the return that you were expecting and you feel exhausted by it and frustrated, but you have to keep going because you know that as an achiever. You know you have to keep going. And so you may spiral out and spend a lot of time panicking and feeling really bad about yourself. And all these things can happen. But if you know you're consistently doing the things that you need to do to keep that ball rolling, you can kind of essentially coach yourself and bring yourself back and be like, I'm still doing the things I need to do. Not to say there isn't time for evaluation in that. So an example, and this kind of shows up for both the procrastinator and the achiever. So I have a new business, as you may know, a skincare business. And this was the exact same thing when I had my business in San Diego in person and I created this business, this coaching business. It was the exact same thing, but switched. And now here we are again, where this is my main squeeze and I'm starting something else, right? That's kind of what happened before. We see a pattern here with me, don't we? And I think back, it was the same thing happened then, which is I can create content for the esthetician coach all day, every day. Like posting a reel a day, easy peasy. I can do it in 3 minutes. It tends to perform pretty good. And when I say pretty good, I mean like a couple hundred views. Like I'm not getting like 13,000 views, okay? But that is good. That's good, right? I can do this podcast, get some good listening. Again, not a couple hundred. We're not talking about 55,000, right? Like good in what I need for my business to keep moving and getting new clients and all that stuff. I could essentially do it in my sleep. It doesn't really matter how I feel in that week. I can do it. Now my skincare business. This is how it used to be. I used to be able to do my skincare business in my sleep, and the coaching business was really hard. It's a lot harder for me. And my brain is always trying to think of how can I grow that business? Because it's not growing at the rate that I would like it to grow at. And the thing that I do is just do the work consistently. And then every 30 days or so, evaluate what's working and what's not working. And not a criticism myself, but maybe the words I'm using and the message I'm saying just isn't resonating with people. And that's why no one is, it's not working in the sense that people are asking to buy products. That's how I know it was working. Or I'm getting a lot more followers. I'm getting a lot more engagement. Like none of those things are happening. That shows it's working. It's not like, oh, wow, I went from 100 followers to 500 followers this month. Like great. And I went from 1 comment a month to 5 comments a month, right? Where you can see the engagement interest is growing. So if you're in that achiever state, your brain is always thinking about, we want to grow, we want to grow, we want to grow, we want to grow. And it's really important to do the work in that business and then rest. So I do that. Like I have my checklist of things that I do to grow the skincare business. And I'm always, evaluating as time goes on, and I check it off and I let it be. And this can be super hard when growing a business because you want that instant result. And so the achiever's brain won't rest because the result is not instant. I don't put a TikTok up and I get a sale. It's not what's happening. I put a TikTok up, I maybe get a couple new people watching it. That is the extent. And that's not the case for TikTok in general right now. I think as an online business, if it's a local business, it's a different world. And I'm still learning those rules. I have a good understanding of like what works right now locally in TikTok, like a local business. But I have to keep watching what's working for other creators that are not selling skincare, right? I have to look at what I'm doing, what I can tweak and check off every day and do. But I have to rest. And so what that looks like is being very specific on what you're going to do it, and be done, so that your brain can have new ideas and have space to create and do the things you need to do in your business. On the other side of that, procrastinators. If you're like me, where you're selective procrastinator, I think there's a couple things here that I've seen really with myself mostly, and then also obviously with clients that I know struggle with procrastination. And it's very similar to the rest thing, but it's just the opposite effect, which is you expect to put out TikTok and get a booking, and then it doesn't happen. And so then you're like, it's not worth it, my time and energy. And so you don't do it. So it's the opposite of rest, where they're like, okay, well, what else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? It's kind of like, I did it. It didn't work. I'm done, kind of. And then it kind of creates procrastination to do more, because you don't want to feel the way that you felt when that TikTok didn't perform, or that Instagram reel or whatever didn't perform in the way that you expected it to. This can be also for like admin tasks, like I'm telling you. I went to pay sales tax yesterday in Georgia, and like the Shopify report, like I'm just going to give you this example because this is where I get hung up, and I know other people get hung up too. Shopify report, like it's not like other systems where like it just gives you a total of like your sales. You can just put it in the report. You have to download it to whatever and then do it through there. But I have a Mac, and so it downloads to Sheets. No, not even to Sheets. What is it? To Numbers. It downloads to Numbers, not even Sheets. And then I can't figure out how to do a sum in Numbers. And so then I have to copy it and put it in Sheets, in Google Sheets, and do it. So it's like 17 steps just to get the total number of sales for one column, for one part of this report. And so my brain's like, I hate this. And then like also trying to figure out all these steps and how it's different here and different there. And the reports, I like they move, right? So it's like I don't like the feeling that I'm having when I'm doing this, which is frustration, irritation, rage, like so much rage. Like, why Shopify? Why can't you total it? Like, why can't I find a total somewhere? Like I even went on chat help yesterday to ask them. So what you have to do in these situations with the procrastination is, because you don't want to feel the feeling that you're going to feel. These are some of my tips that I've been doing myself. Reward yourself. Give yourself a little treat, either before or after the task. So like when you get my favorite cup of tea, tell myself I can watch Good Hang with Carol Burnett afterwards. Please message me if you love Carol Burnett as much as I do. My grandmother loved her. Anyways, this is a total side note. So you have different rewards, right? You can get yourself a little Diet Coke. Okay. And then you also have to take away any distractions and be very specific about what you're going to do, and then do it. And then give yourself breaks if it gets really hard. This, I feel, can be easier with these kind of tasks that are like admin tasks, like kind of figuring out things. Creatively can be harder. But again, give yourself parameters. Like you only have 15 minutes to make a reel or TikTok. At 15 minutes, that thing is being posted or scheduled. You're giving yourself 15 minutes to go on stories and talk about your skincare products and routine, or whatever your assignment is that I'm giving you, or whatever you're giving yourself, right? You really have to give yourself parameters of, this is what I'm going to do. This is how long I'm going to get myself to do it. And then give myself a little treat after. And with time, you either treat yourself, or it doesn't become as painful because your brain kind of gets used to it, and it doesn't have those same rush and flood of annoyance, fear, panic. What doesn't work is shaming yourself. I'm no good. What's wrong with me? Fear. Fear does work for short periods of time, but it will burn you out, and it will make you hate your business. It will make you hate things. So like if I was like, if I don't pay these taxes, I'm going to have big fees and that is going to really send me into like even more anxious and frustrated about it versus like, I can do it. I'm going to do this. It's going to take me 10 minutes. And at 10 minutes, if I haven't figured it out or I'm really frustrated, I'm going to take a break. And then I'm going to go, do something else in my house, usually something physical, like fold laundry or walk around the block or something. Come back and give myself 10 more minutes and try again. And these strategies are super important because you as a business owner, you have to get these things done. You can't say, well, I don't like doing it, so I'm not going to do it. Of course, you can pay people. But like I said, if your business isn't profitable enough to pay someone to do your tax filings or do your social media or to clean yours, if you hate cleaning and folding towels, like it just doesn't make sense to send out towels to be cleaned, like where you are, which was the same thing for me. Like it just took so much of my profit that I was like, I really hate folding towels. Like it takes a big part. So I was like, I have to figure out a way to make this easy, fun, and fast. And so I did. I could wash towels. I could wash my towels when I was at work. They had washers there. You had to pay, but and I knew that earlier in the day, less people were washing. Everyone wanted to wash at the end of the day, like the hairstylists and stuff like that. And so I would get to work like 2 hours before my first client, put a load in, and then create a bunch of content, do a bunch of stuff like admin stuff, any kind of like creativity stuff. And then, I knew how long it took, like 25 minutes. I'd go quickly, and I put and I'd get it. So then I'd have all the towels and then I'd put on like my favorite music at the time or a podcast or a YouTube video or something. And then I would just kind of zone out and fold the towels and put them away. And it became a much more simpler task versus like the stress of it all. So like when I talk about creating systems with clients, that's what I talk about specifically. That system may not work for you in your space and what you do, but we can like figure out a way to make it more systematic and fun and easier for you. Like these things that are hard that you may procrastinate about, a lot of drama about that you just need to do. I think I was talking about a client this week and I was talking about how I think this is like an important thing, like for thinking about like long-term, like how long-term you're going to get these goals done and not looking at it as this is something that I just have to like shame myself in or like panic like myself into doing. And like one day I don't have to worry about it anymore. Like that isn't going to work because if you're going to have a business, you're always going to have to be thinking about marketing. You're always going to have to be thinking about taxes. You're always going to have to be thinking about, cleaning and laundry and all these tasks that we may be avoiding and not liking to do. And we want to think about like long-term sustainable options for that versus panic and fear and shaming. I told her this story and I think this is a really helpful story for you. That's kind of how you work and that kind of panic and fear and pushing yourself past the point of, sustainability, not pushing yourself to do to do better, but you know what I mean? Like kind of in the mindset that you have around it. When I worked Target and was an executive team leader, which basically is an assistant store manager, and I was in charge of the front end, which meant one of the things I was in charge of was the cashiers. And at the time, now this was like over 10 years ago. So I don't know if this is the case anymore, but red cards, which is their credit or debit card, was like a massive focus. And they wanted 3% of transactions every week to be new red card holders, which isn't a huge number. But then if you take into account that there are a lot of people coming through that already have a red card, so they're not eligible. A lot of people coming through that only pay cash and they would never get a credit card. And the most important part of it versus like the Nordstrom credit card or other credit cards that you may get at retailers is we're paying these people minimum wage, which at the time in California was like, I don't know, $7, $8 an hour. Okay. Like really little amounts of money to get. This is their job, is to check people out and to sell credit cards. And they didn't get anything for getting a credit card. They didn't get a bonus. They didn't get any money. It was just expected in their minimum wage job. And people are also so mean to cashiers, right? Like it is not a fun job to be a cashier. Okay, be nice to your cashiers, people. At the grocery store or whatever. And then so that expected to be 3% every single week. Like, let's say one week your cashiers did really good and you got like 4%. Then the following week, it was back to zero. It wouldn't, like, you couldn't be like, well, now this week I only have to get 2%. Or we did 3% again this week, but next week we still have that buffer of that extra. Like, it didn't matter, right? Every week it started over again. And you could literally be like, they would have these calls with like the district manager of like every single week, like who's doing good, who isn't doing good. It was so stressful. It was so stressful. And they really did use like fear. Like they wanted us to use fear with our cashiers, like tell them if they didn't get red cards, they'd get fired from a minimum wage job. And they did the same with us. Like if your team isn't performing, you're going to get under performance review and you're going to lose your job. And, you know, it worked for me for about a year. And then I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's one of the many reasons I ended up becoming an esthetician and leaving. And so what I learned from that is we have to create systems that are sustainable, that do not put us into the place of panic, because either way it can turn into procrastination or not resting, and neither of them are sustainable for your business. Okay, that's it for today. I'll be back next week. Have a fantastic week. Bye for now.